All right, guys, super excited today to be joined by Lior. He is the founder and owner of Local Service Mastery, the number one solution for home services marketing and lead generation. What we're going to dive into, guys, today is everything you need to know about how to generate more new leads for your home services business. There's so many ways out there to get people aware of you and your home service business, right? You can wrap a truck, you can throw up a billboard, you can do mailers, and then there's a million digital solutions. And as someone myself who's not an expert in it, I think it can be overwhelming trying to understand where you can get the most bang for your buck and what you can do today, this week, to start to get more people aware of your business into your consideration funnel and then ultimately booking more jobs. So, Lior, super appreciative of you hopping on today, man. Before we dive into the nuts and bolts, can you just tell us a little bit about you, Local Service Mastery, and then we'll dive in?
Sure, man. First of all, appreciate the invite and glad to be here. Yeah, Lior Vaknin, been in the marketing space for over 16 years now. Started from helping local businesses with local SEO. Even before there was like a three pack, so I would say SEO, classic SEO with the website and everything. Back in the day, and obviously with time it evolved into local SEO. Now with AIO and paid ads, Meta, Google Ads, every channel basically that helps service businesses generate leads. This is what we specialize in. We were up until recently um, just a coaching company. So for the last 4 years, we coached hundreds of service business owners on how to generate leads themselves. But now with AI and everything that's happening, now we're able to basically bring a more holistic solution that is a mixture of coaching and setting up and maintaining your marketing channel. So you're basically getting a 360 approach. But we can dive into it later if you want. But that's basically what we do.
Yeah, let's just start at the basics, man. Like, if you have a home service business in 2026, and let's just say you're a newer business, or maybe you're a more traditional business, you just relied on person to person referrals, and you're like, hey, I need to get more new leads so I can get more new jobs. And you're relatively fresh. Maybe you have a website, you got a phone, you've been keeping it simple up until now. Before we even dive into like the specificities of what you can do on digital, like what are the options? What are the menu options for a business like that to get more people aware of the service that they offer?
So yeah, there's many ways to go about it. But if you're just starting out, would to be honest, I would stay away from online marketing at least, until you're getting yourself into that, I don't know, 10, $15,000 a month in revenue. Start by, giving mailers, approaching your neighbors. Start by building reputation locally with, people who know and can trust you, at a discount rates, just so you can build your reputation. So this would be number one. And from that, basically you can derive your first Google Business Profile review. So it's a lot of online presence, and it will help you with the SEO. And from that, you can create some video of client testimonials that you can later use for your meta ads or for your Google Ads landing pages. But again, if you're just starting out, you don't know where the next job is going to come from, um, you can do it completely lean, no money out of pocket, just do good work. Um, Make sure that you're reviewing post job the owners, if they're happy and satisfied with the job that was done, if they would recommend you, and start building your reputation that way until you're getting yourself into that, 10, $15,000 a month in revenue. And then once you're at that stage, basically this is where most businesses start looking into more seriously into paid ads, into online marketing. And this is usually where we come in. So it's not really at the very beginning, but there's so much that you can do um, at that stage. And to be honest, if you just stay with the basics long enough, you can grow a beautiful business. You can grow a seven-figure business if you just have the vision, and you're able to do this for a long period of time. If you're like sticking to the same basics for 2, 3, 4 years, you're getting hundreds of Google Business Pro reviews. You're getting, you know, dozens of client testimonial videos. Like that, there is so much that you can do just with the basics that people just overlook it.
Yeah, and let's talk about that because I think even for certain businesses, and we'll get more into the more advanced situations, but like they hear about reviews and they go, where do I get the review? Do I get it on Google? Do I get it on Yelp? Do I get it on Thumbtack? Do I get it on Better Business Bureau? When it comes to getting those reviews and testimonials, number one, where is the best place to capture that information and display that information? And then number two, what do you see as like the best channel for those reviews? Is it the website? Is it Google? Is it Yelp? All of the above. Let's just talk a little bit about reviews, social proof, and how to capture and where to display that.
Sure. So I always try to think from first principles, and the question that you need to ask yourself is, where are your clients looking? So if you know that most of your traffic is, let's say on the West Coast, it's more prominent where people skip Google and go directly to Yelp as the main source for, contractors and local service businesses. This is where you want to put your reviews. For the majority of local businesses, I would say that Google would be the number one spot, because even if you think about Home Advisor or Angie's or all these other platforms, usually they're a middleman, meaning that people are looking and searching for your services on Google, okay, or on, let's say, now ChatGPT and other AI tools. Then they come up, whether it's because they're running ads or organically Google is, you know, selecting their website to show up at the number one spot, and then they get to you. The problem with these other platforms is that they're never giving you, selling you, however you wanna call it, an exclusive lead. So you're basically putting a lot of effort into platforms that are gonna sell you a lead that is gonna be shared with 4 to 6 other contractors. And so I'm not a big fan of it. I would say that again, for the most part, I would stick to Google reviews, and of course, if you're seeing that you're getting a lot of traffic from Yelp as well, definitely send it there. And you can also check with the client, where did they come from? Like, how did they find you? How did they hear about you? If they're saying, oh, we looked up on Yelp, awesome. Ask them to leave a review on Yelp. If they're like, I don't know, I looked up on Google, plumbing company near me or a roofer near me or whatnot, this is where you want to have your reviews come up. So it's always think about the client, and if you're, let's say, if you're a B2B, okay, which we, by the way, we don't focus on B2B businesses, but let's say you're a B2B and most of it is, I don't know, on LinkedIn or on other platforms that, um, for coaches, a lot of it is on Trustpilot, for example. So a lot of the coaching and courses, they get the majority of the reviews on Trustpilot. Go there. But for local businesses, I would say number one would be the Google Business Profile, and then maybe Yelp.
In terms of the options for, well, actually, before we dive into that, websites, 2026, does a website matter?
Absolutely, absolutely. The website is basically your business um, online store. Okay, so even if you don't have like a physical store, or a warehouse or someplace that people can come and get to know you, this is it. So you definitely want to have a website. It's still relevant. This is where the information there is curated by you. So you're controlling what type of information is on there. What do you want to present? And of course, the search engines, the AI models, they take a lot of the information. They base a lot of uh, their their results off of what they see on your website. Meaning, if they see that it's a very rich website, that you seem knowledgeable about a specific topic, then you're more likely to get ranked organically on these topics. So absolutely, a website is crucial for every business, even in 2026 and onwards, I would say.
Now, in terms of Google, that does seem to me. I mean, it's what I do as a consumer, right? I need, I do use Thumbtack as well, but my wife's her first thing is like, Google plumber near me and see who has the best reviews, and she's lives and dies by the reviews. I think one challenge might be for a newer or smaller business is standing out on Google, right? If you're in Austin, you go look for a plumber, there's going to be, first of all, there's going to be the LSA results, then there's going to be other sponsor results, and then there's going to be these businesses with literally thousands of 5-star reviews. If you're a smaller business, is it even realistic to like show up in Google and compete on that highly valuable real estate?
Absolutely. I think that who was it? Maybe I believe Bill Gates said that people overestimate what they can do in a year and underestimate what they can do in 10. And I think that the problem in business and in general in our generation is that we have such a short uh, you know time span, vision, and the way we approach businesses in general is, okay, we want to get instant results. We see somebody who just started up a business on Instagram, and now they're a multi 8-figure company, and everybody wants to be this unicorn business. It doesn't work that way, especially in the service business. The businesses that you see that are succeeding the most are multi-generational companies. Those are businesses that were started by the grandfather, and then the father or the son took over, and then he grew it, and now the newer generation, that the grandkids are now bringing on all the AI and social media and all that stuff. These things take decades, and if you have the stamina and you have the ability to think about your business in terms of that long of a time horizon, you can get amazing things. It doesn't mean that necessarily for you to come up locally with your Google business profile and you need to think of in terms of a decade. No, absolutely not. We can see results with our clients that are happening in a matter of weeks. But the thing is that if you have that long of a time horizon, like, you're more susceptible to fluctuation. You're okay with things taking a bit longer than you expected, and you're not pivoting and you're not changing into a new shiny channel that just came up and ditching the old work that you've done so far. So it is relevant. You can come up, even if you're seeing all these behemoth home service businesses with hundreds or maybe thousands of reviews. Because at the end of the day, if you think about Google Business Profile in specific, and the local search, one of the key prioritization is distance from the from your location. So let's say if you're in rural places, it would be, I would say, like, you can show up in a 10-mile radius. But for the most part, if you're in one of the big metros, if you're in cities like LA, Chicago, Miami, New York, 3-mile radius is a lot. And if you're able to show up in that 3-mile radius, amazing. And if you're closer to that prospect to now look for your specific service, and you're with, let's say, 10, 15, 20 reviews, good, solid 5-star reviews, you have an active Google business profile, you'll be surprised, but you might be able to outrank a 400, 500, 700 review business that is further away from them. Why? Because Google understands that if you're closer to that prospect, that means that there's a higher likelihood of you actually showing up on time. You have technicians that can, come in the same day and so on. So don't be afraid of the big guys. Play the long game and just do the work. Do the basics long enough, and there's like an exponential curve that you'll see with everything, like, and especially with your business growth.
In terms of the digital marketing options, all right, I'm at 20K. I have built a good business through hand to hand combat, so to speak. I'm getting referrals. I have some good reviews, and I now have some budget to start really publicizing my business online. There's so many options. I could go run Facebook ads. I could do Google PPC. I could do Google LSA. I could buy leads from Angie. I could buy leads from Thumbtack. I can buy leads from Yelp. There's like almost too many options for you and your customers and what you've seen. What are the top options for a home service business to start truly doing online marketing?
Sure. So let's first separate Google from Meta or Facebook, however you want to call it. So Google, whether it's LSA, local service ads, Google Guarantee, or the regular PPC Google Ads campaigns, those are typically the best type of clients. Why? Because those are people who are right now looking for your specific service. These are people who are right now in serious need for a plumber, for a locksmith, for a garage door replacement, a contractor. They need a solution right now, because those are the best type of leads and the best type of clients. You'll get the highest uh, competition from your competitor. So people are willing to bid a lot of money on these clicks, on these leads, in order to attract them, because they understand their value. But these are the best type of clients. So this is Google side. Meta ad side, I would say that this is good for two type of leads. You're able to reach a much larger group of people, because let's say in a given service in a city, you're getting few hundred searches a day, okay, and everyone's competing on that keyword, on these phrases. Whereas in Meta, you're able to target hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people in your 20, 30, 40-mile radius. So you're able to basically cast a much larger net, um, and bring on potential clients. The math usually, and again, it changes between business and business and between city and city. But if we're thinking about the classic service business, let's say a 20% on Google Ads, a 20%, 25% conversion rate, is a good conversion rate. You have the emergency space that we have our clients getting 30 and 40% conversion rate, meaning 1 out of 3 to 1 out of 2 clicks are turning into a lead. And if you think about the high ticket, $10,000 plus, kitchen remodeling, roofing, flooring, and so on, let's say 10, 12% conversion rate on the Google ad side. So the cost per lead is what you care about. On Meta, you would see a much lower cost per lead, but the quality tends to be the same. So on Meta, you would basically pay less per lead, but a lot of them are just tire kickers, or people who are just like, oh, I accidentally clicked on it. And so if you clean the whole system down, you'll get basically roughly the same cost per lead, unless you have a very strong um, visuals. You have like very high quality videos, testimonials, like your work is very visual. And then Meta could be an amazing lead generation machine for you and your business. Another thing that Meta is really good at, and people and business owners tend to forget or don't pay as much attention as they should, is the fact that, let's say that even in a 20% conversion rate, that means that one of the 5 clicks only converted into a lead. These other 4s, if you're setting up your campaign correctly, are still relevant people. Those are people who were like, they looked for your specific service, they're inside your area, and for whatever reason, they didn't reach out. If that was your last touch point with them, you just lost them for good. But if you're able to set up a retargeting campaign with a little budget of, like as little as, let's say, $5 to $10 a day, now they're inside your ecosystem. And so now they'll see you over and over and over again. And all of a sudden you'll get leads that will close 2 weeks, 2 months, sometimes even 2 years down the road from that first interaction, when they start, thinking about kitchen remodeling company. They clicked on an ad, they saw what you had to offer, they saw a bunch of other contractors in the area. They're obviously that they weren't ready to pull the trigger back then, but because now you're running the retargeting ads and they see more of your content, they see more client testimonials, they see more before and after, they see more of the transformations that you are doing in people's homes. When the time is right for them, guess who's going to get the call? It's going to be you. So these are the major differences between Google Ads and Meta. I hope I answered that that question, Bryan.
Yeah. Yeah. No. It makes sense. I'm about to sneeze. Cut this. Okay. I'm good. On Meta, on Google, there are so many different ways to advertise, right? On Google, for example, there's GLSA, there's PPC. There may be other ways to advertise. Those are the two I'm most familiar with. On Meta, you can run in-feed ads. You can pay to show up in search results there. When it comes to like the 80-20 for like this specific ad products you see driving real results for your customers, what are those ad products on the big two, Google and Meta, that you see work the best?
All right, so let's break it down. So in Google, we have LSA. There's a list of business categories that you need to check if your business is eligible. If your business is, you're basically are able to bid on a per lead uh, um, um, result. So unlike traditional Google Ads or their advertising system where you're paying per click, they have a focused service and contractor based advertising system that is able to charge you per lead. If you're eligible, absolutely go at it, and I would say start putting your money there. Why? Because this is at the absolute top of the search result. So the 2 on mobile or 3 on desktop results that you'd see are called Google guaranteed results. So they're vetting the business owners, they're doing background checks, they're making sure that that business is licensed and insured. So this is where I would start. The thing is that you and everyone else are trying to bid in this system, and Google hasn't perfected the mechanism, meaning that even if you're putting in the, I don't know, $100, sorry, over there it's weekly budget. So let's say you're putting in $100,000 weekly budget. It doesn't necessarily mean that Google would go ahead and spend it. So It's a great system. If it works for you, make sure that you're just never default on the payments, or you don't have any issues, and never ask for chargebacks on leads that haven't closed or anything like that, because that could have detrimental effect on your account. But that's
Yeah,
number one.
and just real, yeah, and real quick for people who don't know, Lior, these are these are Google local services ad results, right? What I'm showing here.
So this is if these are this is not necessarily, they could be, but it's not necessarily now. Google is basically mixing up a lot of the Google ads and the Google guaranteed local service ads results. But if you try to look up on your mobile, you would see it more distinctly. But if you click on the first result, for example, going to the into the number one, so yeah, click on that. Great. Yeah. So this is the LSA. Okay. So this, is a Google guaranteed result. Okay. Um, Now this is for LSA. Then next up was Google Ads, where with Google Ads, here you have more, I would say, ability to control how many leads you're getting and how many clicks, because that's a straight up bidding system. So even if you're a fresh business and the number one keyword in your industry right now goes for $20, if you're going to put in $25, and that just to make you know things easier. Obviously there's quality score and other things that I wouldn't want to get into at this point, but let's say the number one click right now in your industry, in your city, is $20 and you're bidding $25, you're able tomorrow to be at the number one spot. Okay, so this is a much easier way for you to start generating leads consistently, as opposed to Google guaranteed to local service ads. With that, you need to know what you're doing. You need to have the right structure for your Google ads. You need to have the right structure for your landing page. So these two, like this is a 50% and this is 50%. When these two combine, the landing page and the campaign structure, you can have phenomenal results. And we have businesses who are spending $100,000 and $150,000 a month just on Google ads for their services, because they perfected that mechanism. So even if the clicks are very high, you as a business owner, you know that you have a high conversion rate. Let's say you're at the 30% conversion rate. Let's say a realistic number for most businesses is somewhere between $50 to $100 per click. Let's say it costs you on the high side. Let's say it costs you $300 per lead, but your average ticket is $3,000. Is this a trade you're willing to make? Now, most business owners aren't educated and they don't know how the whole thing works or how to think about this. But at the end of the day, it's a numbers game. If I put into a machine $1 and I'm getting $10 out, is this a trade I'm willing to make? Yes. How many times would I do it? As many times as humanly possible, right? So this is how to think of it. If you have a great Google Ads system, it could beat and outdo even Google Guarantee, where you're paying per lead. Does it make sense, Bryan?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and yes, it does. And so it sounds like there's sort of a couple, because I see 3 sponsor results here. So it sounds like these are mostly Google LSA or maybe some other ad
Yep.
products. And then here's a Google sponsored placement that you have
Ads.
a little more control over. And then what am I seeing here in the so-called map pack where it says sponsored, and I see some options here?
So this is so the first one is also a Google Ads. It can, and the thing is that it could be a Google Ads and it could be a LSA ad. Why? Because now they're basically mixing and matching. When you're starting off with these advertising systems, it connects to all the other assets under this Google account. So it links into your Google business profile, it links to your website, and Google is trying to make sure that it presents whatever is most likely to get the results that you're after. So this one, on the business's side, it could be a Google Ads, a regular Google Ads result where they have something that's called asset, okay? And in one of those assets is your business location. And it could also be a Google guarantee results.
Got it. And then in terms of showing up here in this part, I mean, it looks like there's a sponsored one. And then speaking about smaller businesses, shout out to Ultimate Plumber. They have 11 reviews and they're showing up second here. And it doesn't look like they're
Exactly.
sponsored, right?
Exactly. Exactly. So this just
Got it.
comes to
And so
show
what do you think the
that
key is
proximity
for someone like,
proximity is key factor. Look at how close it is to you. This is what we talked about earlier.
yeah, right there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
See, he's super close to me. So he's going to be outranking these bigger dogs.
Exactly.
I guess I'm doxing myself a little right now. No one come kill me. But yeah. Okay. Got it. Okay. Makes sense. Cool. Okay, so that's the Google portion of things. Let's talk a little bit about Meta. What do you see working from a Meta perspective for the folks you work with?
Um, I think that you need to document uh, everything in terms of marketing. I would say a good landing page, good meta ads. It all comes down to having good original content. Not just, you can use AI, but not just AI stuff. The majority of it needs to be, I would say, founder led, meaning that you, as the business owner, you're the face of the company. You need to have content where you're showing up on the site, you're explaining, you're reviewing, you're getting customer reviews. So people understand that, okay, this is who I'm going to interact if I'm getting a HVAC technician over my place. This is him, or at least this is his company. So I'm putting the trust in this guy and I feel like I know him. So the more content you have, the more client reviews, the more testimonials you have, the higher likelihood you'd see over there. The next thing is having a good offer. I know we kind of butchered this concept, especially in my industry. Coaching, everyone's talking about offers, offers, offers. But at the end of the day, you need to make an irresistible offer. You need to make an offer that somebody who doesn't know you would see it and would say, you know what, if this is what he's saying, and if it doesn't work, I'm not paying, or whatever it is, or a crazy discount, or an in-person assessment, or get a quote on spot, no strings attached, something that people feel unintimidated by. Like, this is where you need to pursue, and this is something that's going to drive a whole lot leads, and it would just create tremendous results for your business. So the combination of great content with a great offer, this is something that would actually, it would rip in Meta. And of course, like I said, it's not just that first interaction, it's making sure that you're running those retargeting ads so people see you over and over and over again. So when they feel like, okay, now is the time for me to reach out, at that point, 80 to 90% of the close is already done by the content. So you don't have to do some hard closing with that prospect, because they feel like they know you and they want to work with you. They don't want to have a plumber. They don't want to have a HVAC technician. They want to have you fix their issues.
Makes sense. Lior, closing out here, let's talk about budget, right? I may be listening to this. I've never online marketed before. I don't have $150,000 a month to spend on digital advertising. What is like an actual budget you could spend on a Meta, on a Google to get results?
Okay. So, first of all, on Meta, you can start off with a very, very, very low budget. I would say 20, 30, $40 a day is a good budget. I would allocate $5 out of it just for retargeting. People like your page, people like your Instagram, people who visited it over the last 365 days, people maybe visited your website. So allocate a portion of it into retargeting. With Google Ads, it's a bit more complicated, but we actually created a free tool on our website where you can get a live assessment from Google. You just type in, you punch in your business, your location, like your city, and your overall monthly budget, and it would give you a realistic number as to how many leads you should expect from Google. Because for, let's say, somebody in, I don't know, rural Oklahoma that is advertising flooring, epoxy flooring, and there's no real competition in a 50-mile radius, the numbers would be completely different than a remodeling company in LA, right? So it's very, very hard for me to give you a estimate, out of thin air. But this is why we created this free tool on our website. People can just go to localservicemastery.com. They scroll down. There's the free tool. You plug in your service and your city, and you get a estimate as to how much you would actually need to spend in order to see some leads.
Love it, Lior. We'll be sure to link that below. Get that link out in the description for folks to check that out. Lior, for people, first of all, thank you for dropping knowledge on us here this morning. For people who may want to, follow you, your channel, your services, and see what you have to offer, what's the best place for folks to find you?
Yeah, so I feel like the number one due diligence, and this is how I do my due diligence on everyone else, would be YouTube. I'm a person, personally, I'm a big fan of long term content because anyone can bullshit for 60, 90 seconds on whatever topic, but it's very hard to do this for, now we're running 41 minute long with this podcast. So go check on YouTube. There's a bunch of marketing breakdowns that I do on different services. We have client interviews. We have, a bunch of free resources over there. And of course, if you want to see some of the solutions that we have for you, whether you want somebody to manage your marketing or to teach you how to do it yourself, in the age of AI, hop on to localservicemastery.com. And if you have any questions, you can just drop me a note on Instagram at vakninlior.com. And those would be the best ways to reach out.
Lior, we appreciate your time, man. Thank you so much. And yeah, thanks for hopping on.
Thank you, Bryan. Appreciate it, man.